took after having a very busy week in the office. It was on the way home on a Friday. It was a very long flight, but on this flight, I witnessed so many little random acts of kindness by complete strangers that I was absolutely moved to share it with you. And here's the thing, acts of kindness really do matter. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please make sure to subscribe, comment, and most importantly, please share about the different acts of kindness you're observing in your daily life, because they truly do make a huge difference in someone's life. So here was the scene. I had a very busy week in the office. I was exhausted. Finally got to the airport. In the airport, I had to wait an hour to board on the plane. And of course, I was standing so that I could actually get some cargo space on the airplane to put my carry-on in the airplane. And while I was wishing that I was flying first class, nope, I was not flying first class. In fact, I was sitting in the very back of the airplane, and I had accumulated a pretty heavy suitcase because I bought all of these different souvenirs for my kids, for my puppy, for everybody back home. And so my light suitcase became extremely heavy, and there I am boarding onto the airplane, trying to make it through all the tens of rows to get to my seat. And as I get close to my seat, there's this kind gentleman behind me, and he says to me, "Hey, want me to put your luggage up into the bin?" And I was so touched by his kindness. I turned to him and I thanked him, and I was just genuinely so pleased by someone's, willingness to be so helpful. So I said, yeah, of course. So he took it and he effortlessly put it up into the bin. So that was taken care of. And then he and I got talking, and I found out that it was his birthday. And I couldn't believe it that he was spending the time on his birthday flying home after his very long week and a business trip that he was on. So that was like the first act of kindness. And, the interesting thing about that is he didn't have to be chivalrous. He didn't have to ask me. But out of that, I actually got to know somebody really nice. And he and I just hit it off in our conversation, and turned out that he knew a lot about an industry that I was incredibly interested in. And we just ended up having the most pleasant conversation, and it just made the flight go by so much faster. The second thing that was happening on the airplane was just as we took off, I read my book, I'm about to close my eyes, and what do I start hearing? There is a kid 1 or 2 rows behind me, and all he's doing is coughing nonstop. He's sneezing, he's coughing, he's crying, and it's just like one of those chaotic themes, right? And oh my God. And me being a mom of 2, but mine are now teenagers, I was getting a little frustrated inside, like, hey, why did you bring this sick child on the airplane? Now I'm gonna get sick. We're all gonna get sick. He's not letting us, sit quietly and in peace on this airplane. And there were like all of these stories that were coming up, right, for me. And what I noticed was that it was like me, right? And then I finally turned around just to look at the mother because I was so frustrated with her. And what did I see? I saw this poor mom holding her kid, trying to calm him down and trying to just make him feel better. And in that moment, it's as though I snapped out of my head, and I observed this situation, and I looked at the mother, and all of a sudden I felt so much compassion for her and for her child, who just couldn't feel any better. And instead of worrying about the germs and about getting sick, I actually felt tremendous compassion for her and empathy. And I remembered what it was like when I had to travel with my kids, or when they were sick, and how awful I used to feel inside just about the whole situation, about my kid being sick and not feeling well. And the other thing that I remembered was I have a friend, and she has a child with with autism, and she shared the story with me how when she used to go to the mall with him and he was a little kid and he would have a scene, there would be so many mothers that would turn around at her and just judge her and say something snappy at her like, hey, learn to control your child. And she said, how I wish that somebody would be empathetic and would just show a little bit of compassion and understanding towards me in that moment. And that's what I remembered. And I couldn't say anything to her because her kid was just starting to fall asleep. But in my heart, I sent her so much love and so much compassion. And I completely shifted from being, you know, in the very selfish mode to being in a very compassionate mode. And I really felt what it must have been like for her in that moment. And that was a moment of realization that it's not about me, but it's about the other person and what they're going through. The other thing that was happening is there was a father who was sitting next to me in the middle seat, and I asked him if he wanted to go sit with his family, but he couldn't. But he also had a little puppy, a little doggy with him. And so this was me, you know, in the aisle seat. He was in the middle and there was somebody else next to him on the other side. And he got up and he had to go to use the restroom for a while. And in that moment, the puppy started sticking his head out and was about to come out. And before I could even lean over to just calm down the puppy to get him back into the little traveling bag, the woman who was sitting on the other side, she just started calming the puppy down, and she was, you know, just like petting him and really giving him comfort and comforting the puppy and just really making the puppy feel so at ease and at peace and so safe. And she was just displaying this random act of kindness towards the puppy. And it was just so incredibly nice of her. And I was looking at her and thinking, my God, here she is helping out a complete stranger, touching a completely strange puppy that she has never seen before. And yet she's displaying so much love towards this living being. And I thought, my God, humanity is actually so good. We are so good as humans. I just had a random stranger put my luggage up. You know, there is this mother and I am just like sending her all this love. Here's this woman trying to console this little puppy and making the puppy feel so comforted. And all of these random acts of kindness just really filled my heart up with love, because it was that moment that you stand and you observe life and you observe humanity and you say, yeah, there's so much goodness in this world, so much love and so much goodness in this world, because we are all interconnected at the end of the day. We really are. We're all one. And so I just wanted to share this with you. I don't know if you can relate. I'm sure you can. I'm sure that you perform acts of kindness and you are probably surrounded by acts of kindness all the time. But if there's anything we can take away is let's spread more love, more joy, more compassion, more empathy in this world. That's all I got for you today, guys. Have an amazing day and do one little act of kindness. It really does make such a huge difference. Make sure to comment and make sure to share about that you're performing or the acts of kindness that you're observing in this world. Acts of kindness that